Good evening, everyone. It's quite often that I receive emails about parents who have a child that has either passed away or is suffering, and this is a very hard situation, no doubt, to deal with. Only a parent would know the feeling. Yet, such situations show us how sometimes pain has to be borne, has to be suffered as part of the journey of life. And now this question is from a devotee of Shirdi Sai Baba, who was known to perform many miracles in his lifetime, many incidents of healing, miraculous recovery, and so on and so forth. So, a devotee of Sai Baba perhaps would naturally feel that with the grace of the Master, if they were to find themselves in such a situation, it would be resolved. But we forget that the stories we have read are those where these miraculous healings have taken place. But there are many others which are not written about, where it didn't take place, you see. And Shirdi Sai Baba himself has said that whatever happens in our life happens on account of our prarabdha karma, the past karma you could call it, and sometimes there is no escaping it. So what tends to happen is, if you are following a master like Shirdi Sai Baba, then there is this immediate expectation of a miracle happening. And I have seen the burden this creates, you see, because then one is attached to an outcome which one wants, and that is what adds additional suffering to the original suffering. Now here is one such question. In one of the videos, you have mentioned that whatever happens, it is all for our good and we have to go through our karma. My daughter is 4 years old and she is autistic. She will not communicate nor look into our eyes. I have prayed to God and even did annadan and every possible thing. I named her as Sai Sanvika. In fact, while I was pregnant, I wished only for a healthy baby. And she was born on a Thursday, which is Sai Baba's day. Many devotees with kids were blessed, and some got out of the deathbed, got saved from deadly diseases. But then, for some people, do we have to take it as karma? I am unable to see my daughter suffering in front of me. As a mother, it's too painful for me. Please help me come out of this situation. Please pray to Baba for my daughter's recovery. You see, the main thing here is I am unable to see my daughter suffering, but the one who is suffering is the parent. It is the parent who is not acknowledging and accepting her suffering. When I read this question, where it's talking about the autistic daughter, and it is the parent who prayed for a healthy baby, took it as a good sign that the baby was born on a Thursday, named the baby after Sai Baba, and so on. And yet, the daughter was autistic, and you are unable to see your daughter suffering. As a mother, it's too painful for you. That is because besides the natural suffering this situation commands of having an autistic child, one has not accepted the reality and therefore caused additional suffering. And one has pegged one's hopes that a miracle will happen. This can lead to a lot of frustration. This can lead to even more suffering, not only on the original suffering and the associated psychological suffering, but yet a future-oriented goal which becomes the purpose of daily living. Whether that miracle happens or not is God's will. But this attachment to this outcome, it takes away the little peace that can be found through the suffering, through the acceptance of the situation. To accept such a situation, no matter how painful it may be, and to accept that the situation can lead to frustration, that is also part of the acceptance. But this question, if others got cured, if others saw miracles happening, why can't I see it happening? It is not true that it happened for everyone. This point gets missed. There are many males like this, even someone who lost their job, a devotee of Shirdi Sai Baba, prays to Sai Baba all the time. He says his situation is getting worse and worse, but he believes in miracles and the miracle powers of Sai Baba, and so on. But he cannot understand this tailspin he is going into, where there's bad news after bad news after bad news and financial crisis and so on and so forth. And so then the faith in Sai Baba is getting diminished. Why? Because it is based on an outcome the me wants. Whereas if one has accepted the will of God, the faith is in the knowing that whatever happens is God's will. That is true faith. Knowing that if I am meant to go through this, I have to go through this, and therefore may the divine, may God, may Sai Baba give me the strength to deal with this situation. That is true faith. And so while one could say it is easier said than done when one is talking about a parent with an autistic child, for example, because they know what they're going through, to reiterate, of course one would want a miraculous outcome. That is also human nature. But this teaching says that whether it happens or not is God's will. So in this circumstance, the focus comes back to daily living, dealing with the situation at hand, dealing with the child, dealing with your own suffering, and it, instead of taking you into an imaginary future, the focus gets locked on to the present moment and handling things as they arise. That becomes the spiritual practice, that becomes the sadhana, that becomes the way. Thank you.